With practice and qualifying in the books, Brian and I am Kyle famously, get you set to build lineups and find the targets to attack and the drivers to fade on DraftKings, as well as look at some adjusted outrights. Have some numbers move too much? Brian and I investigate all in today's Angle of Pursuit podcast.
Ross Chastain used the wall all the way around this racetrack.
Logano has been the class of the field.
Check out the big brain on Brad.
Yeah, I need to change my underwear.
Brian Twining, I swear I'm able to combine words into sentences. I don't know what happened there, but everything is fine on my end. How is everything on your end?
I'm doing great, man. I was just one of those days. I had an early morning tea time, played a nice round of golf today, then got to take a shower, relax, eat lunch, and just sit and wait for NASCAR practice and qualifying, which has become must-see television for yours truly, something I would have never envisioned myself saying at any point in my life prior to now.
Living quite the life. I had a very different morning. I wish I could have been on the golf course. It was pouring rain here, and I was hanging out with my child, so that was very different. Fun nonetheless, but very different. That being said, I also got to see most of practice and the majority of qualifying in between, different activities in terms of playtime. But that's what we're here for. We're here to break it all down, give you the thoughts, give you the drivers to target, talk about the values, talk about the options to avoid, and hopefully look at some outright odds before we get out of here. I know Superbook has odds as we are chatting. We're hoping Caesars can follow suit. As always, if you want our full betting card, all of the plays, and our favorite bets post-practice and qualifying, make sure you're subscribed to the Substack, aoppodcast.substack.com. Gets it in your inbox every race day, completely free. If you do want to give it a shot before you subscribe, wouldn't cost you a thing whether you did it either way, but you can check it out on race day and see all of our favorite thoughts. And then if you enjoy it, consider hitting subscribe, and we really appreciate it. As well as if you're enjoying what you're watching here, hit subscribe. Hit the mash that thumbs up button, and let's get this party started. I'll pull up the DraftKings pricing as Denny Hamlin is your favorite. 14th on the grid, 11,300. Kyle Larson starting 4th at 11K. Tyler Reddick, 10.7. William Byron, 10.5. Martin Truex, 10.3. And your pole sitter, Christopher Bell, at an even 10K. Couple front loaders, a guy starting in the back, and some mid-pack options. A lot to discuss, a lot to get into. Where's your immediate attention and immediate DraftKings dollars headed this week?
If you subscribe to our Substack, you'll know that I've gone with Denny Hamlin as one of my favorite DK plays for like 3 consecutive races, and he might just find himself on there again, starting 14th. This is exactly where he started last fall, finishing runner-up. And, he's actually never really qualified well here. He only has 2 top 10 starts over the last 6 races at Kansas, despite finishing top 5. I think it's 5 times in 5 consecutive races here at the Yellow Brick Road. So yeah, I think Denny is going to be a smash in lineups. That being said, Kyle Larson is just on another level. Like, he is Thanos in NASCAR terms. I mean, if you give this guy clean air, I think he's just going to run away with it. I see Kyle Larson jumping to the front fairly quickly here in this race and leading probably the entire stage 1. And then, he's the dominator you're going to need with like a Denny, and maybe you're going to have to squeeze 2 of these guys in a lineup and just get bargain hunting at the bottom, because I could definitely see these 2 battling out for the win again.
Yeah, 1,000%. There is a very real shot that we saw Denny jump to the front and kind of be the guy you need last week. Could see Larson easily do that this week.
Oh, yeah.
Gets to the front really quickly, and just stays out there and dominates from start to finish, and you need to have him in your lineup. So we will definitely build some lineups with him. I like him quite a bit. I would like to try and pair him with the William Byron and see if we can make that work. Obviously, was really fast in practice, was the fastest in 10 lap, second in 15, first in 20. Obviously, Larson didn't run 20. But, we'll see what ends up happening. Obviously, had an issue in qualifying, maybe goes to the backup car. In terms of where he's starting, it shouldn't matter. Do we worry, though, a little bit about him kind of getting stuck with the chuckleheads in the back and not being able to get to where he needs to get? Are there enough laps? We're not worried about that.
Look, we made that mistake last year with Kyle Larson. I believe it was at Bristol. I know I've mentioned this before, but if a guy is just that much better than the rest of the field, I don't think we can overlook I don't think we can overplay, having to work through the squirrels because it'll be so early. Like tire grip will be fine. He'll probably be within the top 20 within the first 10 laps or so, seeing how fast he was during practice and a significant amount better than the rest of the field. So yeah, I'm not worried about Byron. I just think he's going to be so chalky that if you're in a GPP, you're going to have to pivot some way, somehow.
Yeah, I feel like it's Larson, Byron, and Hamlin are the guys that pretty much no matter where they start, they should have a chance to get to the front if they have a good car. Different weeks, it may be a Ryan Blaney in that mix or a Chris Bell or somebody, but I feel most week in and week out, it's really those three.
Yeah, and I'm really interested. I don't get too much into this. There's much smarter people than I am at roster percentages and all that, but I honestly think Tyler Reddick, if you're gonna pivot off of a Denny and a Byron, I think he's the next best option because he came into the week as the third shortest odds. Sorry, English is difficult for me sometimes. And he looked great in practice. He looked fine, and then you could see the disappointment in him during his qualifying lap. He went a little bit too hard into the corner, probably got off the gas a little bit too late. And so, clearly that affected his 1 lap time. Bubba Wallace, same thing. 23:11 was great in practice, by the way. So
shocker.
I think, I think Reddick's going to be fine. And yeah, if you want to pivot off of a Denny and a Byron, who are probably going to be the chalkiest guys, I think Reddick is the way to go.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking at some projected ownership, projected roster percentages. It has actually Truex and Larson as almost 50%. And obviously, I have to see what kind of contest, because every contest is going to be a little different, right? And then behind them is Hamlin, and then it's Reddick and Byron. So it is interesting to see. I'm always interested too because you'll see roster percentages and then you'll see your actual contests, and sometimes they're pretty close, but sometimes they're very different. And obviously it depends. Are you doing a GPP? Are you doing cash? Are you doing high dollar, like the 50-cent one? It all depends on the contest. So make sure you're understanding contest selection and building lineups accordingly. And Larson may be popular and Byron may be popular, but the amount of people that get those two in a lineup and have a quality lineup may be really low. So it's always about that combinatorial ownership as well. Reddick is interesting. I like him a lot. I like your points there. I think I could see cases for basically all 5 of these guys. So we'll see how we can build lineups and how we want to do that. Let's talk about the next range. We have Chase Elliott starting 9th, Bubba Wallace 23rd, Ty Gibbs starting 6th, Ross Chastain starting 2nd. There's 4 drivers in that 9K range. Once again, we got some potential early dominators if you don't do the Larson thing. Do you have any interest in Chastain or Gibbs as a pivot off of Larson, especially if you're doing maybe like a Hamlin, Byron kind of thing?
Chastain is so hard to read because during practice, his times in practice were shit. I mean, when you look at, he was like a good 7/10 slower than William Byron was on his 10 lap average. So I don't know if he was sandbagging it. And, normally we see him go out and run because he's been very adamant since the beginning of this season that they're coming out with race trim and they're more concerned with race speed than they are with single lap qualifying speed. And yet he goes out and he puts it on the front row here. So, I don't really know what to make of that. I don't feel confident grabbing Chastain in the 2 spot. Like, I know he's been great here. I went pretty heavy on a top 10 just prior to qualifying. So obviously I'm happy about that. But yeah, I don't have much faith in him. I will say the Toyotas are incredible. And as much love as Ty Gibbs has seen in the betting market, like, I think he could be a nice leverage play because who the hell is going to want to put a guy's rookie, has never won a race, starting 6th, when you have those guys, Byron, Reddick, Hamlin, Larson, all starting near the front. And then, like you said, Martin Truex Jr. too is starting 7 spots back, who's only $1,000 more. Like, I think Gibbs could be a factor for sure.
Yeah, I'm with you on Chastain. Like, we always talk about him. He's a guy that we want to, shockingly enough, see struggle in qualifying because we know he's going to have a good race. Typically, when he qualifies this well, he sinks like a rock. We both grabbed him on the outright market prior to practice and qualifying. He goes out, puts it on the front row, and his odds in terms of outright haven't really moved, which
Exactly.
tells you a lot of where Vegas is at, and I think
Yeah.
a lot of where I'm at. He's going to be an easy fade for me this week. I am on Gibby, depending on what I do. I think him, and if you want to do a Gibbs and Hamlin and Bubba Wallace type start, I think you're going to be really excited about where your team's going. Obviously, you mentioned the Toyotas, and I know Wallace qualified 23rd, but I'm kind of optimistic that he can have a pretty good race on Sunday.
Yeah, look, obviously I've been a Bubba Wallace homer for a really long time. But one thing to note during practice, dude ran every single lap without stopping during the practice session. So either that car is completely hooked up and he's in love with that setup and they're going to go out there and make their way through the field on green flag runs, or they were just trying to feel it out and see what type of adjustments they're going to have to make tonight. And I'll take the prior because Bubba Wallace has ran here good. 23-11 absolutely dominates in Kansas. 9,500 starting 23rd. You're going to get a shit ton of placement points here. Dude is expected the top 10. I mean, he was, I think, 1 to 2 in certain places to top 10. So I love Bubba in DK. He's probably going to be extremely popular because of where he's starting. But, I'm definitely going to be playing him this week.
Yeah, I think there's some really compelling options in a lot of the ranges. So getting everything right is going to be key. It's going to be really fun to kind of have some decisions to make and obviously adjust accordingly. Let's talk the 8K range because I think it's pretty interesting. Some of the options we'll get to choose from. Kyle Busch starting 5th. Does he make me eat my words again when I say he sinks like a rock? 8,900 Ryan Blaney starting 26th, 8,600 of the Fords. While most of them are pretty trash, and I don't really want to be exposed to any of them.
Yeah,
he is somewhat interesting. No interest in Logano at 8,300, and Bowman the Slowman didn't even run 5 laps consecutively in practice. Starting 18th at 8K. Are you using any of these guys in DraftKings this week, or is this just like a cross it off, move on to the 7K range?
As much as we've been fading KFB this year and RCR, and they've been absolute dumpster fire, we've seen it. We saw it last year when he was the class of the field at Auto Club. That came as a surprise to everybody. And then I believe he won at Worldwide. Similar situation. It was just kind of out of nowhere that the car showed up with tons of speed. And Kyle Busch, we know if he can get to the front, you talk about difficult to pass, he will literally back it up and make guys have to move him to get around him. So I think Busch, in the same breath as Ty Gibbs, is a good way to pivot off of them. Obviously, this isn't if you're in the Millie Maker or whatever the hell it's called for the NASCAR thing, because you got to get different. But I don't hate it. I'm sitting on a Kyle Busch. I think it was 22-1. I got it on small chunk of change. So a little bit of subjectivity there, but
hedging your bets a little bit. I mean, KFB when he has a good car, he puts it in there and does what it takes to win. And then when he has a trash bucket, he throws it into the reverse and
Yeah,
sinks to the back and parks it
he
on the
has a
side of the road pretty
tantrum.
quickly. So, yeah, if he has a good car and he could do what we saw last week, he may be a little more interesting than I think any of us thought coming into the week.
Let me say
Yeah.
that Joey Logano starting 11th, what
Yeah.
I saw in practice and just the way that Penske has run in recent years at 1.5s, if I could pick a guy who's going to have the largest placement differential the wrong way, it might be him.
Yeah. Bowman's fine. He's a Hendrick car. This is a play typically does pretty well. Obviously, starting 18th is in a good spot.
So just on Bowman real quick, I think we've seen this the last couple of weeks with HMS. I almost feel like they're coming to tracks with 4 slightly different setups and then sharing information in the garage post practice and qualifying, because we've seen this the last couple of weeks where there's a lot of separation between the guys in practice. They're not all bunched up like the JGR guys are. So, I don't put too much stock into him only running 5-lap split and then having to pit all the time. Like, they were clearly working on things. It's not good. It doesn't make you very optimistic about his chances, but maybe that's by design.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, especially when you have like legitimate front runners like Larson and Byron
Yeah, exactly.
and Chase Elliott who's figuring it out. Like, you're gonna try a few different things and see what works. When you have that much resources, you can make changes, you can adjust accordingly. That makes too much sense.
And also, too, I want to point out real quick, if you didn't catch the qualifying session for Kansas, the guys that qualified up front are the dudes that really have the largest steel cojones, because they were basically full throttle through 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. And there's some guys that just aren't willing to take that risk running up high like that, because we saw what happened to William Byron. So,
Yeah.
The qualifying spots are great, but we do this at every track. Like, these are not indicative of who's necessarily going to be running up in these particular spots that they're qualifying in.
Yeah, especially if like I love my car. I'm not gonna throw it into the corner trying to get an
Exactly.
extra 2 spots when I could just start 15th and get to the front pretty quickly. So
Yep.
I think that's a great point on your part.
Hello, Bubba
Let's
Wallace.
talk the 7K range. There's a handful of names that make for an interesting discussion. The 2 RFK boys, Keselowski starting 30th, Busher 12th, Young Noah Gragson starting 3rd. Obviously, we hammered him in the group along with everybody else who has a NASCAR betting podcast, apparently, because that number got shot into oblivion. Daniel
Yeah.
Suarez, 27th. And then Chase Briscoe, top 10, baby, 7,100. I guess I'll ask you the same thing in this range. Any interest in anyone who's starting in the 7K range?
I would have interest in Noah Gragson, but it's so hard to get there because, I mean, technically, I guess you could kind of a rookie, I guess you would say. I mean, it's not his rookie season, but he's still young. Obviously, he has speed. I like him more in betting because you're still going to get decent numbers on him. Obviously, the numbers pre-practice got nuked.
Yeah.
And he looked great in practice, by the way. He was one of the best cars. And we actually saw this in Vegas too. He practiced great, then had to go out first and absolutely got effed in his qualifying lap. So, he had speed there, which is probably the most comparable track to Kansas. So I like him, but there's just too much risk involved with him.
Yeah, I think he's a great top 10 option, maybe top 5. I think he'll be a good target in matchups, but he's not beating Kyle Larson or Christopher Bell or Denny Hamlin, or at least not yet.
I was just gonna say, and then I think there'd be a really interesting prop bet if you could get it. Like, who wins first, Noah or Ty Gibbs?
I mean, Ty Gibbs would be like minus 180. I might take it on Noah just to get the value if he's like 3-1, but
that's what think about it though. All of the talk is about Ty Gibbs, but Noah Gragson is performing as good, if not better, than Gibbs is.
Yeah, but like he's like a mile and a half or maybe like shorter, flatter tracks.
Oh yeah, but
where I think Gibbs has a lot more opportunities to be a legitimate contender.
Yeah.
Let us know down in the comments if they were in a matchup and you could get, you'd have to lay a little juice to get Gibbs and you could get a nice value on Gragson. Who would you take to get a win first?
And what would it take? Like what
Yeah.
price would it take to
Yeah, like if
bet?
you're backing Gregson, do you need like plus 250, plus 200? Let us know. Suarez, I don't hate 7,200 or 7,200 starting 27th. I think he's fine. 6K. Josh Berry,
Nope.
Michael McDowell,
Nope.
Austin Cindric.
Yeah,
Sure.
I take it back. I take back my statement earlier. The winner of the most placements lost is going to go to Austin Cindric.
I think we should put a head-to-head together with those two drivers and see what happens. That'd be fun.
Without a doubt. Yeah.
Richard Stenhouse Jr., Austin Dillon, Ryan Preece, Carson Hocevar, Jimmy Johnson, John Hunter Nemechek round out the 6K range. We're probably going to have to dip in here in order to make some lineups work. Is there a name or two that you're willing to just to pound the table for or kind of get excited about, relative to their price?
Man, this is a really rough. I don't hate Stenhouse because Stenhouse is always pretty good on tracks where he's got to put the pedal to the metal. So I think he makes some sense. I'm a little worried that he's starting near the mid pack anyways. I mean, you'd have to get a 12th or better maybe for that to pay off. And then like Dylan, look, I took a long shot top 10 on him at 9-1. I still think that's a great price because that's probably gone.
Yeah.
It's probably going to open at like 7. So yeah, I got a whole 2 points there, but he's starting too far to the front. And then the rest of these guys, like the only way they can go is really backwards. I think Hocevar is a great potential top 10 in terms of just overall speed. But again, he's a young driver at a track that's going to change a ton over the duration of the race. And then he's going to have to get into the high line, which means sketchy situations of riding next to the wall and likely crashing. So I'd probably almost be like more inclined to go in multiple 5K guys than to dive into the 6K range just because of where they're starting.
Yeah. Priest isn't bad. 6,400 starting 32nd. I could talk myself into that. Let's talk 5K and below because Corey Heim, Austin Hill, Corey LaJoy, Zane Smith, Daniel Hemrick, Harrison Burton, Riley Herbst, Todd Gilliland, Justin Haley, and Derek Kraus. To your point, they're like, are they as good as the 6K range? No, not really. But are they really that much farther off when you could save an extra $500? I don't think it's that crazy.
Yeah, I think Justin Haley is a fine play, starting 35th at $5,100. Are you kidding me? He's way better driver than that spot. So I think he's a good one. And then every time Riley Herbst finds himself in a cup car on a Sunday, like I'm in. So
yeah,
I think those two guys are going to they'll probably be pretty chalky though. But
I mean, especially for where they're going to be priced. And now that Rick Ware isn't like a complete dumpster fire, I'm actually a little more optimistic about Haley.
Yeah.
I like your Herbst call. I don't hate Harrison Burton. He's somebody that can always pop at these tracks. So yeah, I think your kind of general philosophy of grab a couple guys in the 5K range instead of 6K to make lineups work might be the move, especially if it gets you better options at the top.
Well, and then too, like I'm also looking at this from the vantage point of those guys know that they're not going to be racing for a win. And especially Herbst, because he's not racing for cup points. He's probably just going to be riding around to try to get a decent finish, which means he's going to be less likely to take, chances, which is going to put him in the bad situations to wreck. And if he can just survive, that there's going to be guys that wreck out. There's going to be guys that make mistakes on pit road because they're speeding, because they're fighting for position and all that jabber. So I think Herbst is a good bet to possibly crack like the top 25 just based off of, battle of attrition. And so 5,300, I like that. And then the same thing with Haley. Like he's a good driver. They know they're not going to be fighting for a win, but a top 25, top 20 even is not out of the question if we get some craziness at Kansas.
I am agreeing with you. Okay, let's build some lineups. Larson Byron, Larson Hamlin.
Let's do the Larson Hamlin thing and see what we can do.
Okay.
I mean, I think that
do we want to dive down to 5K?
I'm just going to say, I think that immediately makes us have to get at least one of them.
I think we should see what we can do. So I think we're in on Herbst. I think we go Justin Haley and see what we get. Because
Oh man, look at that.
yeah, because now like we have all the money in the world, so we can do kind of whatever we want.
We didn't talk about him, but Brad Keselowski. I mean, look, they're sinking like a submarine does.
Yeah.
But if anybody is just gonna ride around and be able to sustain and possibly get a decent at 10 spots, finish top 20, it's Keselowski. And if he hits the jackpot again by staying out longer and gets track position, he could luck into a top 15 or something.
Yeah, and honestly, he wasn't that bad in practice. He qualified horribly, but he wasn't that bad in practice, and he's been decent enough. He was really good here last year in the fall race. I like that call.
Yeah, and to your point about Keselowski in practice, like something I've started to do more often when I'm looking at the splits is the amount of fall off, not necessarily the speeds in which they're throwing down. And Keselowski, when he got longer into the run, his drop off was like a half of a tenth each 5-lap segment, which is really good because we know guys like Keselowski, Hamlin, the old farts, they're good at managing tires. And if this stays green, we get Keselowski, who's just gonna stay out there and make his way through the field in just on attrition.
Yeah, and I could see him, with a pit cycle or something, getting into the top 15, top 10 range and making it
Exactly.
stick. And maybe he's not contending for a win, but he's also not sinking like a submarine either. So
yeah.
And that's up to Hammer Bubba if you want to do that. I'm fine with that. I also think Blaney could be fine. I think Bowman would be interesting. It might be leaving a little too much salary on the table, but what are your thoughts?
Well, I already waxed poetic about Bubba Wallace. So.
Yeah, because we could also, we could do that, or we could, I think that's the move. Like we could potentially upgrade like Haley to someone else, but we don't really love the 6K range, so why would we force that when we could just have Bubba who we like? I think that's an awesome lineup. All right, let's build another one. We'll build 3 total.
I was just gonna say this is definitely a 3 lineup weekend.
Oh, yeah. With the 3 max, it's just too easy. Just might as well build the 3rd lineup and make it happen. All right, I'm gonna squeeze Byron and Larson in, and we'll do a very similar thing.
Baby.
Because I like this a lot.
All right,
and we're already like looking good. We can put one of the 5K guys in and kind of see how we feel about it.
Okay, you mentioned him, and we didn't really talk too much about him. I think Daniel Suarez, 7,200, starting 27th.
Yeah.
And think about it. Maybe it's just his lucky week, considering he was on the lucky dog multiple times last weekend. He just became a nationalized citizen here in the United States. He's got dual citizenship now in Mexico and America. And what better way to celebrate than with a top 15?
I know that's how I want to celebrate citizenship, with a top 15, baby.
And think about it. It's friggin' Cinco de Drinko during the race.
Yeah. It's also Chris Wormy's birthday, so we might want to build in something that
think about it. It's perfect. He like Daniel Suarez ruined his weekend last race, so this is great.
That's fair.
All right.
All right. I put in Justin Haley as a placeholder just to see where it would get us.
Okay.
Interesting spot.
Yeah, it's just so hard because you got guys starting where you'd hope that they finish.
Yeah.
What about Blaney?
I could do Blaney.
Like, I don't think he's going to receive a lot of love this week. I mean, I could be wrong, but because Fords suck. Like,
yeah. They suck out loud for sure.
Yeah.
But
I think
he's definitely got a high ceiling, and if any of the Fords like pop and are all of a sudden in the conversation, he's definitely the one to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that.
So now we're looking at 7,600.
Yeah.
I mean, we got a lot of high upside guys. I think we need like a safe.
I mean, Brat.
What is Keselowski? What's his cost?
We'd have if we go to Derek Kraus, we can get Keselowski, and I don't know that I
I don't
love
think
it,
that's
but
worth it.
also like how much worse is Derek Kraus really than Justin Haley?
Probably a lot.
That's fair.
Yeah, no way. I think this is like his third start in the Cup Series. What about Ricky Spinhouse? Who's gonna roster him? Let's be honest. In the middle of the field.
I like how you said, "All right, now we need to get somebody safe," and then you're like, "What about Ricky Spinhouse?" Yeah, I might be more inclined to go Ryan Preece.
Just
11
because of where
spot,
he's starting?
yeah, 11 spots further back. I think
Yeah.
he's gonna be super solid.
All right. Yeah, let's do that. And then we can also see because we saved a little bit of money here. What does
Yeah.
that get us? That gives us in the 63. All right. Who do you think is going to pay? Say Carson Hocevar, who probably does have top 10 potential if he can keep the wheels on it. Or even a Corey Heim, by the way, because they're
Yeah.
fast. He's in Toyota. But again, rookie, first
John
time in
Hunter?
the Kansas Cup Series.
John Hunter, Zane Smith.
Corey LaJoie.
I could do some Corey LaJoie.
The only thing with LaJoie, like I feel like his ceiling at a track like this is probably 16th, 17th.
Yeah. And honestly, he hasn't been like as strong as I kind of hoped after what we saw from some of the races last year.
What about Austin Hill? No, doesn't do it for you.
No, I mean we're obviously dumpster diving at this point, trying to make
Yeah,
something stick, but
but I mean he's in a Chevy though, so
that's fair.
because I don't think we can get too exposed with the Fords, especially with us expecting them to fall off.
Yeah.
I mean, sometimes the best lineups are the ones you're the most uncomfortable with. So
That's fair. All right, Austin Hill it is.
think about it. What if RCR? What if they pop in a race, and that means that all three guys do well on Sunday, and all we'd need out of Austin Hill is like a 23rd or something.
Yeah, but if that's the case, then we need like more art. We need a little Austin Dillon, double Austins.
Yeah, but Austin Dillon's ceiling is like 10th. Like that's
That's fair.
That's only 6 spots.
All
And
right,
he's
we
like
got
$2,000
two.
more.
Let's create our third one.
All right, I think we need to have Tyler Reddick in a lineup.
Yeah, this is our Toyota lineup for sure. So I think that means Denny. I think that means Red Dog. I think that means Bubba.
Oh my gosh. Then we have to do like Corey Heim.
Okay.
I mean, if we're going Toyota heavy, we're going all in. Okay, so the one problem I would say with this one is, do we really think that they're going to finish 1, 2, 3? Like, do you think there's a possibility that we get Denny Hamlin, Tyler Reddick, Bubba Wallace finish?
Yeah, I do, but I think I'm gonna take Denny out for a second. We'll go Reddick, Wallace. We have some Corey Heim action. Let's see. Maybe we'll do a little more balanced build and kind of.
Okay. What about the most popular driver in the sport?
Chase Elliott?
Yeah. Because
Yeah.
I wouldn't say he's so average anymore.
No, he's been good. And then Alex Bowman. This kind of makes my skin tumble, so maybe that's a good thing.
And then is this the lineup that we do? Did we do Priest in a previous lineup?
Well, we can't afford Priest.
Oh yeah, we can't
at
do
this
Priest
point.
here.
I think
All
we
right,
did. I think we put him in like the first lineup.
So this would probably be Herbst again.
Yeah, I could do some Herbst. I don't hate that. I'm gonna do this real quick just to see what our other options are.
We could get to Blaney again.
Logano.
Damn, we give $100 and we get to Kyle Busch.
I mean, we can make that happen if you really want. And do Austin Hill.
Man, that is fucking gross. Pardon my French. That is disgusting. But can you if Kyle Busch, if they found something, if they unloaded with something that he can work with, can you see a world where, say, those 4 guys finish top 5? Like, is it feasible?
It's really hard to
It'd
see
be difficult.
those 4 guys finish top 5 in a race with Denny Hamlin, Kyle Larson, and
William Byron.
But we're in a contest where we're trying to be different. This lineup feels different. It feels, but I don't know if it's like a good kind of different or if we're just like doing too much.
Should we just be putting Kyle Larson?
I mean, it kind of feels like it.
The thing is he gonna? What is his projected roster percentage?
50%.
Man,
he's going to be very popular.
Yeah, see, I feel like in GPPs, you're either gonna have to have him or you're gonna want to not have him. Like, there's no in between with Larson this week.
Yeah, I think we fade him. And hope that he has a tire issue or something with this lineup.
Okay, what if we get different? Instead of Elliott, what if we go Gibbs if we're going the Toyota guys?
Yeah, see, I think that's more compelling.
What happens if you put oh yeah, we couldn't afford that. I was gonna say, what happens if you put Truex in there with Gibbs and Reddick and Wallace?
If we do that, no, we can't do that. But we could do like a Suarez, Bowman, Suarez, Keselowski.
Man, I'd say out of Keselowski and Bowman, I feel like Bowman has the way better upside.
Okay,
that's just my opinion, especially on a 1.5.
And do you feel better about Suarez 27th over? Yeah, unless you want to bump Herbst up, and then we could do like, I don't know. It's kind of.
But the thing is like all of the guys that are in this range right here, in the 6K range, we already talked about it. Like, where are they going? They're going to go backwards. Like, none of the guys starting inside the top 10 right there, Cindric, McDowell, like, no offense to them, but they're not winning. They're not finishing top 5. There's no chance.
They're definitely watching and being offended right now for sure. They are loyal watchers of the Angle of Pursuit. I think Suarez.
I highly doubt that because Michael McDowell is like the nicest dude ever.
That's what he makes you think until he turns into a keyboard warrior. All right. God. Hamlin, Larson, Wallace, Keselowski, Herbst, Haley, Larson, Byron, Blaney, Suarez, Hill, Priest, Reddick, Wallace, Gibbs, Bowman, Suarez, Herbst. Double Riley's, double Daniels. Feels okay. We didn't actually have any Bowman, so I'm glad we ended up going Bowman in that last lineup.
Yeah, especially because I'm sitting on a Bowman Chastain top 10 boost parlay from Caesars at plus 340. So
just packing your bags over here. Packing your bags. All right, let's go over here and see if our friends over at Caesars have odds for us. Yeah, they do. Look at that.
Oh, baby.
Impeccable timing. Timing.
Kyle Larson
plus 260. Woo, buddy.
Disgusting.
Yeah, it's not what you're looking for.
He's plus 275 at Bet Rivers. I mean, if you want to get some value.
That's practically free. Like, that's crazy. Hamlin 450. Ring the Bell at plus 750. Red Dog. Let's see. I'm gonna add, because I have Superbook. Let's see if I can. Let's do that. Reddick is 8. Is he still 8? Yeah. I think I'm gonna add Red Dog at 8. I wanted some exposure to him. 6.5 was not the move, but I think 8 is 8 the move.
Like, I don't know if you might be able to get a better number live. I don't.
Yeah.
Like, I don't have any exposure to Reddick either. 6.5 was just too short. That was available at our offshore, and I couldn't get down on him.
Yeah.
I mean, I was a wussy and didn't bet either Kyle Larson or Denny at 4.5 either.
I wasn't doing that. Hamlin's still 4.5 if you want to add it. Truex is 9.5. Gibbs is 12. Byron's 12.
The Byron number I don't hate. Like we talked about it at the top. Like he's gonna work his way through the field.
Yeah.
And I think it's going to be fairly quick that the books are going to recognize like he has speed, and that number is going to be in the single digits.
Do you think we get a better number if we wait 15 laps into the race, or is he already moving too much and they're just going to shorten the odds?
Oh, dude, I think within 10 laps, I think William Byron will have worked his way up to mid 20s. Because think about the people starting in the back of the field. I mean, you're talking about the Derek Krauses, the Justin Haleys, the Zane Smiths, like
all the jabronis that we just put into our DraftKings lineups.
Yeah, but for long plays, for finishing results, not short run speed. And the fastest car in practice in the short run was William Byron.
Yeah, he was great.
I mean,
hopefully he doesn't go to backup. I'm really exposed to him, but that's okay. That's okay. So it's a outright card week, which is very interesting for me. I don't typically get this heavy on the outright, but I have Chastain at 22 from pre-practice, Byron at 9 from pre-practice, and now I'm adding Reddick at 8 and Byron at 12. And I'm open to adding more, honestly. I don't hate Bubba at 20.
Yeah, I think Bubba at 20 is a good. I bet Bubba 16 early in the week at
and it went immediately to 12, and we thought you were getting a great number. Now we can get 20.
Yeah, I like 20.
Blaney at 30 is also not terrible.
Yeah. Oh, well, no, I guess that doesn't make sense. I was just gonna say, so Caesars also has the prop like grid position of race winner 30 plus at 12-1. So clearly somebody has smartened up and they gave the same price as William Byron, because usually that number would probably have been like 14 or 15.
Yeah. Ooh. And can I interest you in some Logano at 40 or Brad K at 50? No.
Yeah, not
Suarez at 100.
Not even remotely interested in that.
All right, let's play a game. Let's play can they win? We'll narrow it down to the handful of names that we think can actually win, and then we'll figure out. So Larson, he can win. Hamlin, he can win.
Yes.
Christopher Bell, he can win.
Yeah.
Tyler Reddick, he can win.
Of those guys, I would probably say he's the least likely. Honestly. Just because I worry about like him getting too aggressive on the wall. And of those drivers, who has the worst pit crew of that group of 4?
Yeah, I mean that's completely fair.
Probably the Red Dog.
Martin Truex, he can win.
Can he?
No.
He's got a fast car. He can be a front runner early on, but he can't seal the deal.
Tyrone can win.
I don't know if it's his time yet. He's got speed.
William Byron, he can win.
Yeah, Byron sure as hell can win.
Kyle Busch.
If he's up front, he could do it.
So you feel better about Kyle Busch if he can keep it up there than Truex?
Price-wise.
Huh?
In terms of like their value, their price, yes.
Interesting. Chase Elliott, he can win?
I don't know if he can win. Like, I think he's like a 3rd through 6th or 7th place car right now.
Chastain?
Hey, we've seen Chastain run great at
Yeah.
1.5s.
Bubba?
It's hard with Bubba just because he's won, what has he won? 3 races in his career?
Yeah.
With one of them being here,
Yeah.
but
Blaney?
well, we know Blaney can win races, but can the Ford do it? I doubt it.
Okay.
Think about that for a second. Blaney is the first Ford on the board at
Yeah.
30-1.
Yeah, I'm gonna be excited to dive into some
That is
manufacturer props.
insane.
All right, so we decided Larson, Hamlin, Bell, Byron, KFB, Ross, Chastain. That we
I think
feel like
Chastain could definitely win.
those are the 5 that we feel like definitely can win. Everybody else, there's like some sort of question mark. Is there
I
anyone
mean,
else
look,
you want to throw into that group?
I mean, clearly the odds are priced the way that they are, but I just have such a hard time getting to Martin Truex Jr. right now because when he's been up front, there's been something that has happened. And then Tyler Reddick, the same thing. Like when he's had the best car on track, how many times has he parlayed that into a race win?
Yeah, I mean, and honestly, I was watching
Just
they were
hasn't.
showing what happened last year. He ended up like making a move at the end. He wasn't really the the leader
No.
at the end. He kind of made a move.
Yeah, that's what I'm
So,
saying. Like,
I'm taking
look,
Reddick off the card. There's too much optimism about him, and I hate when that happens.
I think he's a great play. Like if I like placement odds on Reddick, like top 3, top 5, but I just have such a hard time betting him at such a short number when, like I just said, whether he's had the best car or not, he has not been able to make it happen. Look, Vegas, for instance, he was able to run Larson down, but he couldn't get it past him. Yeah, that's the aero blocking BS, but still, like
There was like
winners.
4 more laps to that race he would have won, but
But
that's
think about it.
unfortunately doesn't happen.
Winners make it happen. What did
Yeah.
Denny Hamlin do last year to Kyle Larson? He
Yeah.
made it happen. And we have not seen that out of Reddick yet.
I did not think this would be the conversation after what we've seen this far this season, but it sounds like Kyle Busch at 14 versus Reddick at 7.5. You would be going with Kyle Busch, and it doesn't sound remotely close.
Well, Kyle Busch is 16-1 on Superbook. So, yes, I would be more inclined to add Kyle Busch at 16
What
right
a
now.
world we're in right now. This is crazy.
Look, man, I'm all about value. If they unload tomorrow and Tyler Reddick makes his way from 14th up to 2nd and we see a replay of what race was that where he kept finishing 2nd in the stages earlier this year? Was that it wasn't Bristol. I can't remember what it was, but if we see a replay of that where Reddick just gets up there, like clearly I'll eat crow and I'll eat my loss. But at the same time, like I just don't see him making it happen at the end.
Yeah. What a world. This is not the conversation I thought we'd be having. But here we are.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm okay. On that note, Kyle Busch, 16-1 at Superbook as we're recording right now is being added to the card. I'm gonna put my money where my mouth is, and I'm gonna text the wife, place the bet.
Chase Elliott at 16 is tempting.
I mean, I already have Action Elliott 16 at the offshore, so
Yeah, and I have Elliott over 1.5, so we could cash that if he wins.
dude, I'm gonna throw it out there right now. As we get closer to the end of this season, you're gonna hear me calling out winners of guys who I have season long totals on if they're close. So Elliott, Bell, like if Christopher Bell wins this week, I am going to be the happiest man on the planet because I'm sitting on a very large ticket of him over 1.5 wins. So
Crazy.
Yeah.
Crazy.
But yeah, honestly, it's probably going to be a Kyle Larson runaway, and
and neither of us are going to be on him at plus 250.
Yeah, and all of this is going to be for naught. So
do they have top Chevy?
No, those normally come later. I will say kudos to Caesars and Superbook for getting odds out less than 4 less than 4 hours after practice and qualifying, when I think it was just last week they had freaking practice and qualifying at 7 a.m. our time Pacific, and we didn't get odds until 5 p.m. So,
And they had Kentucky Derby today, and they have NHL playoffs and NBA playoffs. So it is impressive. So I have Chastain at 22. I have Byron at 9, and I doubled down at 12 because I'm a glutton for punishment. He'll probably run around in like 23rd all day, and I'll be like, why did I double dip? You have William Byron at 9. You have KFB at 16. Is there anyone else on a short list that you're like, I might be adding between now and by the time we post our newsletter tonight, probably around 11:30?
I mean, I'm a sucker for Bubba Wallace. I talked about him. I love him in DFS, but I just don't know with how strong the guys at the front looked. Like, I just don't know if it's worth even, laying the juice on
But
getting
getting
that type of
20
juice.
feels a hell of a lot better than 16 or like 12 that it went to pretty quickly.
Oh yeah. Yeah, 12 was far too short on Bubba.
And I have to figure out, do I actually think 20 is a good number, or do I think 20 is a good number because 12 was there? Just like with
I think and yeah, that's a conversation that you need to have with yourself, because 20 is a great number relative to the current prices of everybody else, but is it a good number for Bubba Wallace?
Right. Yeah. I mean, if there was a place to bet him for on a track that he could succeed, this would be on the short list. It'd be here, it'd be Dega, it'd be
Super speedways, yeah.
Yeah. I'm gonna go back and forth with Red Dog. I'm sure whatever decision I make will be the wrong one. I don't hate your KFB one, even though I think he might stink. And maybe it's maybe you fade him in matchups and whatnot, and then just take him outright. So if he shoves it in your face, you at least get paid out.
Yeah, and I mean, obviously, I'm not getting as aggressive as you are, but I do think Byron at 12 is a great number.
Yeah. I mean, I liked it at 9, and so I'll take it at 12.
And then even Denny, like at 5, if you're not able to bet live, I don't hate that. I don't absolutely hate that, knowing how good he is here, but
I'd much rather bet Denny at 5 than Larson at 250.
Oh yeah, no, yeah, without a question.
And Bell at 8 over Denny at 5?
No chance.
Yeah, Reddick's gonna be interesting. I think I would get out of Chastain if I could. I don't think he's gonna win.
Yeah.
Bubba is fine. Yeah, I don't know. Here I am talking about how I'm gonna get exposed on the outright board, and it's basically just William Byron and a Ross Chastain bet that I don't love. So
well, and then just real quick for reference on Christopher Bell, the previous 2 times he pulled it here, he finished 5th and 8th.
So top 10 bet locked in.
Yeah. I mean, you're paying like probably minus 300 for that, but
yeah. Yup. All right, Brian, this was fun. We obviously built some DraftKings lineups. If you're still with us, that means you are enjoying what we're doing. Make sure you smash that thumbs up. Make sure you hit the like button. That is the same thing. Click subscribe. Check out our Substack. Subscribe over there. Let us know down in the comments. Noah Gragson versus Ty Gibbs, who gets a win first. Let us know who you're on this week. If you found any really good bets. Brian,
do you think KFB is going to actually show up?
Well, who is Chris Wormy's Wormapalooza pick going to be tomorrow?
How does he not pick Christopher Bell after he pulled it? I mean,
Cinco de Wormo.
This is a fun game. We can start predicting this.
I don't think Bell is the answer. I think it's going to be chalky. It'll probably be like Denny.
I was just going to say it's probably going to be
like Denny and Larson. Larson's probably going to run away with it, but I think Larson will shit the bed and Hamlin will win, and you get better odds. So Hamlin, that's my pick.
All right. Yeah, I don't hate that.
So we'll be in the comments. The link is in the description if you want to check that out. Chris Wormy, professional NASCAR bettor. Obviously, one of the hosts of Stay Green, really smart dude. Gives us our final thoughts and helps round out your betting card. So obviously something that you should be in your
Definitely.
content rotation if it's not already there. That is Brian Twining. I am Kyle Robert. Enjoy the rest of, I guess the week's over. Enjoy the race today. I'm just, bag has been fumbled, but hopefully we'll cash some bets. Let's win some money on DraftKings, and we'll be back next week.